Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I'm your host, Duststorm.
And I'm your other host, Biowolf.
And this week, we're back with more Halo 5 discussion. We talked last week about the weapons, thanks to our guest, Drunken Halo. Both Travis and Justin Bryce were on. It was good to have them on. And this week, we're going to be talking about some of the maps from the Halo 5 Guardians multiplayer beta, which we're actually going to, if you're going to PAX, which is in 2 weeks, you'll actually get to play Halo 5 Guardians beta again. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we also have Haas and Godzilla back on the show. It's the whole staff is here for tonight. So it's going to be one crazy show.
Oh yeah.
Never.
Never.
Whenever Bio and Haas are in the party together, it's always a crazy thing. Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a game night. Insanity ensues.
Conversation.
Or something, yeah.
I'm just here to keep Biowolf on topic.
I'm the one that needs to be on topic.
I was about to say, I think it might be the other way around.
It's a matter of opinion, I suppose.
Two opinions are like...
Anywho.
I think we lost Biowolf.
It sounded like we did for a second.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So, we're going to be talking about the maps, and as you guys know, there were 6 maps. 6 normal-ish maps that were playable. And then there were 2 breakout maps. We're going to be focusing on the 6 normal maps tonight. And depending on how long we take, we might get into the game types as well, because there are only 2 game types other than breakout. And next week, we should have a guest on to actually talk about breakout, somebody who spent a lot of time in breakout. So that should be good for everybody. But let's go ahead and get started into a little bit of news before we jump right into the Halo 5 stuff. So this weekend is the last LAN tournament for the HCS Season 1. So there is Gamers for Giving in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That's happening this weekend for the 21st and 22nd of February. And that is the last LAN tournament here in the States that people can go and collect HCS points for being placed in the top 8. Actually, top 7 for HCS. And then there is a wildcard event happening in Europe this weekend as well. So I know for the Gamers for Giving, that should be streamed. I'm not sure if it's going to be streamed on Halo's Twitch, but if nothing else, it'll definitely be on the Gamers for Giving Twitch. So make sure you check that out if you want to see some good Halo Pro action. I know I'm going to try to be watching as much as possible, and if Haas and I are around, we'll be trying to do some live tweets as well. But that's going to be, I have a feeling that's going to be fun to watch, especially with the lead up here. And there's actually been some interesting developments over the last few online tournaments as well. But as far as being able to see the HCS finals, if you're going to be at PAX East in 2 weeks, which is in Boston, then you'll actually be able to watch the finals there. The top 7 teams from the US and then the wild card seat from Europe is going to be competing for $100,000, which is it's a lot of money.
Yes, that is a lot of green.
Yeah. So I'll be there covering it as much as possible in Boston. So if you guys are there, definitely hit me up. Hit me on Twitter, and we'll try to hook up. And of course, I'll have swag there if you drop by. And there's also going to be at the Xbox booth, Halo 5 Guardians playable on the show floor. So according to the Xbox Wire article, they didn't say particularly if there was a time frame that it was going to be available to be played. I think it's going to be something where there's going to be a Halo station, and you can go through and play the Halo 5 Guardians beta over and over again. Now, it's likely going to be just the beta that we played a month ago. Nothing's probably going to be changed. Nothing that they've worked on. Like some of the fixes that they talked about 3 weeks ago. We're not likely going to see those implemented. This is likely going to be the last day that the beta was played is what we're going to get. All the game modes, all the maps that were available at any point during the Halo 5 Guardians multiplayer beta will be there at the show floor. So basically like the last 2 days of the beta, how those were, where it had Slayer, Strongholds, and Breakout across all the maps. So,
Breakout.
yes, fantastic Breakout, which we'll talk about that next week. And there's a little info, very tiny info, on the content update that's supposed to be coming for the Master Chief Collection. That is going to have a definitive date next week. They're in the bug fixing phase and finalizing the content update for the Master Chief Collection. And they said that, or Bravo said that we'll be able to have a definitive target date by next week. Also, there's a little more info about Relic. Certain Affinity provided some inspiration behind the redesign, and there's another concept art screenshot over on the community update. So head on over to halowaypoint.com and check out the community update. You can get a little more info on that there as well. So that's the quick news wrap up, and let's jump into the Halo 5 maps. So the first map that everyone probably saw was Truth. And Truth is a remake / spiritual successor to the beloved competitive map Midship from Halo 2. Now, we've talked about it a little bit already on this show, but let's kind of dig into the map details itself. It definitely seems like because of the armor or the Spartan abilities that they've included in Halo 5, that the map is a lot bigger. Would you guys kind of agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Way bigger in size, play smaller.
You think it plays smaller just because of the sprint?
Than Midship and Heretic. Well, the sprint and the player speed, I think, really just kind of, you can get across that map way faster than you can get across Midship.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, especially with thrusters, sprint, and all that stuff, you can get across it really, really quick.
Yeah, I would actually kind of like to. I wish I would have timed it, just going each avenue across map, but that will come release day.
So another thing about Truth is I think the biggest change that they had was that you could get from bottom middle to top middle right up the middle.
Yeah.
I particularly did not like that change to Truth.
I would have preferred they would have closed it out. It kind of made too many avenues to get around the map, and that's what kind of bothered me. Especially when you're on one of the towers, you already have, well, on Carbine side, you got the lift coming up the back, you got both the ramps, and you have the two far plasma grenade DMR spawn sides. It just kind of became a little overwhelming. Pink Tower, it wasn't that big of a deal because you just had the two sides and then the front, but especially for that Carbine side, you had way too much to worry about because nobody's coming across top mid from Pink Tower in a real competitive style match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wish they would have closed the middle off up there, too. I mean, there was too much going on. I mean, honestly, that's how I got killed most of the time when I was in Pink, too. Because you have to worry about that one side.
Carbine felt very different than Midship and Heretic because the bottom level was the same level as bottom of Pink Tower, and it had that lift from the bottom to the top. And remember that big kind of open command center area on Midship for Carbine? It just didn't. It was completely changed.
Yeah,
it felt completely different. So I routinely got confused on which side was which. I would have to actually look up to call out to be like, okay, that's the Pink side, that's the Carbine side.
I didn't necessarily have that issue. I kind of just had the issue that Carbine side just seemed so tight, where I never really felt that it was a tight section on Midship and Heretic, mainly because you could kind of back into what the big fusion coil style deals were there, but you could always have that extra bubble to kind of back out if you spawn there, so you don't have to, one, worry about being seen, or two, you can kind of sit there and let your shields recharge. But with this, it was like a narrow hallway with a hallway that goes up to a lift and then a hallway that goes out to the middle of the map. There wasn't really much room for you to kind of work around, sit for a second. It was pure go. And I think that maybe was due to them trying to speed up the gameplay on the map. but it didn't feel right, especially trying to be a spiritual successor to Midship and Heretic.
Yeah, just some of the accessibility options and different ways to move around the map, I think, kind of broke some of the more traditional flow of Midship. I think the lift up, I think that could be tweaked a little bit, because you're basically, you can get nade spam so easily in there. Like that little hallway on the bottom to go up to lift, and then you hear that lift, you can just get nade shot like crazy.
Holy crap! Yes,
I remember
that was ridiculous.
A lot of times, you see someone go down to bottom carbine, you just chunk nades up to the top, bounce them off, and because of how effective the grenades were, you would almost guaranteed get hit markers, if not every once in a while get kills.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of, yes, it looks like Midship. It in some ways plays like Midship, but it didn't have the Midship feel, and I can't really describe it. It looked, it's like it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, but it's a goose. That's kind of how I felt about Truth.
Yeah, a lot of people had a lot of comparisons to Zealot from Reach. I didn't see too many resemblance to it, but there was a lot of people saying that it reminded them of Zealot a lot.
I think that was maybe a tone style with the color palette. For me, that's what I would liken that to. And maybe top mid being a little bit more round also. And even that the bottom mid had that kind of like tunnel style. Because on the bottom of Zealot, you could kind of dip down and go in there, but this didn't have that divot down there. So it's like they just kind of lifted things up.
All I know is I died a lot on that map.
Yeah, it was. I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it flowed on certain things. But there was a lot that I was, especially now that I've played a lot of Midship now on Halo 2. There was a lot that I like on Truth that just kind of that was new. I mean, I guess with the Spartan abilities, you have to sacrifice a lot of different things. But I think, like you said, it was like higher, like they lifted it up a little bit. I think that Clamber, I'm sure, has a lot to do with that.
Oh yeah, I think in watching the sprint, it looked like they were designing areas to clamber on the front of Pink Tower. I never thought to ever look there. Did any of you guys? If they kept that in the concept art into the actual game, or did they remove that?
The only place I used to clamber was in the bases, from bottom to top.
I use clamber in those cubby holes, like on Pink 2 and Carbine, like those little side passages that you can get into. That's why I usually clambered up on.
The sneakies?
Yeah.
I used it also on Carbine side where the DMR spawns with the 2 plasma nades. I would often kind of go straight at those rather than going around it. I'd jump up and hop over that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, another clamber thing that I did too is that I didn't always use the gravity lift. I actually did the other thing to where you could just clamber up on that one little hole on the left, if I remember it correctly. Mm-hmm. If it was on the left. That's about the other time. And then sword every once in a while. Like when I missed that jump, I clambered up onto that. But that was about the only time I ever used clamber on Truth.
I'd say the cubby holes and then jumping up to the sword were probably the only times I used clamber. But those cubby holes were really convenient.
Yeah, they were.
They were nice. It was nice being able to hop over to top mid from there.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I don't feel like being able to go from bottom mid to top mid was really necessary, because you were in the base, a quick boost, a sprint or a thrust, and you're at top mid.
Yeah.
So that you don't and how often is somebody bottom mid? I mean, in the beta, all they had there was 2 plasma nades, but hopefully it's a shotgun or something a little bit more powerful than 2 plasma nades. Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, another thing that I found those cubby holes to be annoying with is the just the amount of camping. It just drove me nuts, especially with the 2 people that had like the SMGs. Like, I just camped in that hole, and then you had to worry about that if anybody was in there. It's just one thing that you had to constantly worry about, though, too. So it could kind of go both ways. It could be good and it could be bad.
Also, with that map, I hate the color palette. And when 343 released the statistics that blue team won, that was the map that first came to mind. I was like, that makes sense why blue team
really?
had the slight edge. Yeah.
Eden was the map that came to mind for me.
That one would also make sense as well, but it just felt blue team blended. Like they were a chameleon on that damn map.
Yeah.
Like it was tough to see unless they were in red tower. And especially on Carbine, because it's also dark, but it's dark with that blue hue. It was, oh my God, impossible unless you were on car. If you were shooting across map, the second they dip out into kind of the darker area than that front center of Carbine, you kind of guessing at that point. You're just waiting for your reticle to pin, hey, there's somebody there. But then by the time that happens, they probably have moved and gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they could lighten up the colors a little bit for blue team, like their colors. That way it could pop out a little bit more. Because that is one thing that I did notice right away is that, like, every time I sit there and, like, seeing something move for a split second, I look, there's nothing there. And then I look back again, there's someone saying it. Just, they really did blend way too much. And, like, there's a lot of
Spartan armor could be lightened up.
Yeah, I'm thinking
really.
that.
I would think the map the map could be lightened, but they need to dim down those bright spots on that map. Like those shots are insane. How bright those things are at top.
It was almost like J.J. Abrams lighting. Didn't quite have the lens flares, but
yeah, no, I mean, there's a couple lighting things in there. I mean, just with like the lighting on the weapons, you know, the blue team, there's different things they really need to work on that map.
Well, the armor contrast with the rest of the map design just needs to be addressed. And I thought that would have been, well, I mean, this is the beta, so obviously all the art assets aren't complete, but you think the ease of being able to see someone would have been picked out at least by the pro team.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised how hard it was to actually see the blue team sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed with all the Halo games, the red and blue team, there's always at least two maps in the game where red team has the advantage because of color, or blue team has the advantage due to their color blending into the background. Truth was worse than most of them. There are maps out there that, you know, if you stand in the right spots, you can almost disappear.
It felt like most of the beta.
I felt that with red was on Empire when you were coming out of the bases and you had that little cubby with the jump up. That was the only real red location. Even in the bases on Truth, I never felt red team was at any sort of like visibility advantage inside their base.
The blue just felt naturally darker than the red. Like regardless, the red armor popped out more.
I think you just need to take the team colors and make them green and yellow.
That would be so hard because red versus blue is such a classic like theme within Halo.
I know.
I mean, it makes logical sense, but I think we're starting to see the effects of being that being so popular, as in red versus blue.
Yeah. I mean, another thing that's really kind of like that map's distracting too. There's a lot going on aesthetically on that map. I mean, you have like when you're crossing it, you have the pillar bottom little hologram going on down there, and then you have one thing that really distracted me too is when I was running by him was the little prophet when he was talking. Like I didn't really notice him at first, but like when I started like cranking up on my headphones or whatever, I heard it. Like it was distracting. There was a lot of different things going on that map. I mean, just different colors, different brightnesses, just things like that.
You just kind of would think like sometimes less is more, and I feel like they wanted more is more on a lot of these maps, and they're gorgeous to look at. They really are, but it almost feels overwhelming, especially with how loud the game was during the beta. It just like I was like on sensory overload.
Well, and all the Spartan chatter and
the grenades. I mean, my God, the grenades.
Well, and the hit markers. Every time you hit somebody, you got that little audio thing with the hit marker.
Oh, that was so annoying.
Yeah.
You have that. I mean, the only thing that really kind of bothered me out of that whole thing was probably every once in a while it's just like that was with every weapon or every energy sword, but it was the Prophet's Bane on that map was just I don't know if the map was too dark and like it was too light or like it was just bright all in general, but like
Well,
that it
kind of
just
goes with the shield.
It was
The
blinding.
shield's a top mid as well.
No,
It just,
it was a lot worse than the shields.
I don't know. I just felt the brights were way too bright. The darks could have been a tweak higher. It just, I don't know. It just the balance did not feel right, especially on Truth to me. Empire, I don't know how I feel about Empire's lighting. I like the dark setting though. That was my favorite thing about Empire because I've been waiting for one of those kind of
Dark maps.
nighttime maps for
Yeah.
a long time.
You mean Eden?
Now I just need weather. Was it Eden?
Well, Eden, what?
Yeah, Eden was the nighttime
Yeah,
one.
no, Eden.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
Empire was the daytime
the
one where everything-
remix.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eden was
Okay.
the remix.
Okay.
I think aesthetically though, I think Truth probably had a little bit more. That was more to look at. I mean, you had the star map, you had the planet outside, you had the giant red planet, you had the Phantoms constantly running around doing their thing. You have like there was a lot of like I mean, just in all the maps in Halo 5, there's a lot of aesthetic stuff in there that's really eye catching. And I remember Naked Eli talking about this a while back when Halo 2 Anniversary came out, was when he said that you don't want too much of it because it will offset and unbalance the actual gameplay itself. So it's going to really make me wonder, you know, if when the feedback came in, what the pros actually did say with that. Because just me being a casual gamer that I am, like I'm noticing these things all the time. And it really makes me wonder what's going to change.
Yeah, I really think the beta and the maps and their looks, especially, will be totally different.
I think after the feedback, they definitely will. But it's not to detract from how, well, in my opinion, how beautiful the map is. It's a very nice looking map, and the artist did a great job with it. It has a lot of cool, fancy things like the Prophet, like the hologram of the solar system, and all that stuff. But I mean, to your point, Bio, at some point that's going to detract from actually being able to play from a functionality standpoint in a competitive setting. So they need to contrast out the colors of the map to the armor so that the Spartans actually stick out.
Yeah, I mean, there's also some other aesthetic stuff in there that was actually pretty helpful that you've seen on the Sprint was when you had someone on Pink Tower or Carbine, you had the little things on top that poked out that showed you that indicated that someone's in that tower, and then when someone pops out of it, they kind of go back into wherever it is that they came. Like I guess they call them the eyes. That's what they're referencing all the time. But I think that was pretty neat.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, those aren't as easy to pick up on because the light difference between when someone's in there and when someone isn't, it's not that noticeable unless you're really looking out for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the reason why I picked it up a lot more than other people. And then when I told people, they're actually surprised. Is because when it comes to stuff like that, I usually pick up on it really quick. Especially when they said it in the Sprint, like that's something I want to look out for because that would help like a lot. You know, especially with Call, you'd be like, oh, well, someone's in there for that reason because those are up or something like that. It would help out a lot. And I like stuff on the map that can help out if someone's somewhere or something like that. Like I like that kind of stuff. It's neat.
I can see an argument against that for competitive though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have an argument against everything, right? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have people saying that if the map is like perfect in one person's eyes, it's complete opposite in everybody else's. I mean, personally, I like some of the stuff that was going in there. I mean, there's just little things in there too that I didn't even pick up on until you actually look around. Is that you had the little holographic, I guess it was Covenant text that was rotating like around.
Oh yeah, up in the up top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty cool. Like there's just little touches and stuff that you actually pick up on. Like you had like what else was it? There was so much. There was a lot going on that map.
Yeah, I took some time and looked around it, but I spent most of my time actually focusing on the gameplay, where a lot of the stuff on Truth in normal gameplay I didn't notice because that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for targets.
Well, the best way to go look at these maps really would go into a spectated game and then just pause at the beginning and then go fly around. That's the best way to look at the map, really.
Yeah, I mean, that, and like if you capture any footage, you can run through it and look through it too. Like that's where I picked up on a lot of different things too. Was just looking through the footage. What did I miss that I didn't see the first time around because I was so occupied with shooting people.
And I did that on a couple of maps to, kind of get a better idea of the layout and stuff, and it helped, to see where certain weapons spawned. But I never actually did it with Truth. I don't know why.
They're trying to really incorporate the whole lore aspect into every aspect of Halo, which I can appreciate, but I think there's only so much that you can do on the particular multiplayer map, especially where is it really going to add something that people are going to go out and notice? Because, I mean, a lot of people that are going to go and play on these maps are going to play it just for the multiplayer aspect of it, not necessarily go around and look at all the fancy little things. So how much time do you really spend on designing a map and adding all those lore elements in there?
I mean, it's just depressing now because people that are doing that, adding all these details that are just people that are just going to pass up, it's kind of heartbreaking in a way because like there's so much going on. You have so much stuff going into these maps and like no one will ever see them, I think that's where I kind of am different from other people. I mean, like when Halo Reach had like when their map packs came out, like the first thing that I did was I just went around to Forge Mode and just looked at everything, just looked at, what was different here, what was, what kind of things in there. And another thing is like Easter eggs, what could they put in there that could have, been a little Easter egg that no one ever seen because they passed up real quick.
As far as the lore, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the fact that they're trying to integrate them into the lore, but really for a multiplayer map, as long as it fits in the universe, I'm good with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as it's something you would expect to find in the Halo universe, I'm good. The little prophet in the solar system and the phantoms flying by and all that, that's all well and good. It's detail that is wasted on most people that play multiplayer because they're in there to kill people. They're not in there to look at the maps. I appreciate what these artists are doing with the maps, but I kind of agree. It almost seems like a waste of resources to put that much detail in the maps.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an issue to have the lore stuff and the Easter egg stuff in there, but spending a lot of time on those little details instead of focusing on the design of how it's going to play competitively, unless they just have that much extra time to focus on that stuff, I personally don't see the value of working on special stuff to the extent of what they did with Truth. Because, I mean, in the sprint they talked about where or what ship is this on, what's the story behind the ship, what's the scenario that it's in, all the hologram stuff, what each one of them are. It has the hologram of the Pillar of Autumn. It has the hologram of the nearby galaxy or star system, and it's just like, yeah, it's all nice and good, but you're working on a multiplayer map. You should focus on the multiplayer aspect of it, and then when you do want to add in the extra assets, then do that. Now, again, not 343, so I don't know really what the time is that they're spending on some of the little lore details versus spending time on the actual gameplay itself. But it seems like this map, compared to a lot of the traditional Halo maps, has a lot more detail than some of the past maps have.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on it. Not to say that I'm right or wrong, but that's just how
I just wish the lore was just left at the little blurb when you highlight the map, and that was it. I get where people want to tie the two together, but the people that are playing multiplayer, they really don't care.
Right,
They
but you
really
get,
don't. And those numbers, the numbers of the multiplayer hardcore far, I think, outweigh the people that are the campaign. Everything needs to tie together. Is this canon person? I really like say it's a training exercise. Sure, that's fine, but I don't need to go into truth and be like, oh my gosh, look, it's the Pillar of Autumn. Wow, like that. Just put a ship there. Why does it have to have a name? Like if it's beneficial to the design of the map, okay, but I kind of felt like they just cluttered it in that, especially on
Yeah.
Truth.
I mean, you got to look at it from two different viewpoints, though. Like, I can understand where everybody comes from this. Like, the clutter can get distracting, and it takes away from just the core gameplay of just the map itself. But I enjoy it, so I'm going to defend it and say that they should have a little bit in there. You know,
A little bit,
it's something
sure.
that's gonna, but there shouldn't be something that's gonna there shouldn't be so much in there that's gonna be overwhelming. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be, I don't know, like there should be a limit. I mean, granted, the little the Prophet and the Pillar of Autumn was cool. But I mean, we've seen so many things like that in other Halo maps as well. I mean, you had the space station thing. Oh man, I can't remember the Halo Reach map it was.
Anchor 10 or Anchor 9.
Anchor 9.
No, it wasn't Anchor 9. No, it was the one where everything
Countdown.
kind of funneled. No, it wasn't even Countdown. It was the one that was funneled into. It was a DLC map where everything
Countdown
funneled
was
in
a
the middle
DLC
where there was
or
no
not
gravity.
Countdown, it's another C map. I know which one you're talking about.
But you could see like the glassing of Reach on the bottom, and then you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you could see. I mean, they even then like they had a lot of stuff in there. It's just you just have to balance it out.
What is that map? I forget. Like
It's
I
gonna
know,
drive me nuts.
I know what map you're talking about because it has the low gravity in the center. With
Yeah.
rockets.
Oh, chat, help!
They're just saying Gamma Station.
No.
No.
I've never even heard of that. Low center, low gravity in the
yeah.
middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, the generator room. It does
can't
start
think of
with
it.
a C. What the heck is it?
I can't remember. But compared to the other maps, this has a lot of extra stuff in it. Because, I mean, look at Eden, Empire, and what was the Truth? Redux, Regret?
Yeah, Regret.
Yeah.
Look at those. They did not have that much on there. Now, they had their backstory to them, but there wasn't all that extra stuff in there.
Right.
So, Condemned. Thank you, Receptor. Thank you.
Damn, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Thank you. You win this episode. But yeah, so comparing Truth to the rest of those, you just all that additional stuff isn't there, and I feel like
Right. I mean, well,
that's kind of how a lot of the other maps have been, because you have
Yeah.
like some of the stuff that's on the walls sometimes, and a few other things, but you don't really have anything quite to the extent of what they did with Truth.
yeah. I mean, Regret had a lot of stuff going on in it too. But it wasn't anything close to what that was. I mean, you had the bugs, crawling around. You had the flying. Those birds have a name? Like it was the same birds that was on Regret, or not Regret, Guardian. They had those little bird thing flying around. But a lot of people can go and say that if the map was brighter, you wouldn't notice it as much either. It's
See,
just that.
I actually like the aesthetic of Regret, and I also like the map layout a lot better than Truth.
Yeah.
The bug things, those we've seen before in Halo maps. So
Yeah,
it's
like the
I
rat,
wouldn't say it's
like the rats from Halo 3.
over the top. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
they're fun to shoot when you're bored, but hey,
Yeah.
and the birds, they're not really that distracting. The map itself, moving around the map, you don't have things catching your attention, taking your mind off the gameplay. You get the overgrowth from all over the structures, which is nice and even. I like the map. I like the placement of everything on the map. As far as the jump ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, when me and Dust were playing that one time with Deadpool. The first thing I did was I said, "Look at the bugs." Freaked out.
The what?
The bugs.
Look at the bugs.
We were playing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know the bugs you're talking. Those giant super beetles.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
those
Those
things
are crazy.
distracted me. I don't know. It's probably me having like an attention span of a rat, but I literally just went around and look. I'm like, look at the bugs.
The attention span of a rat?
You never heard that?
Maybe a goldfish?
Yeah, I've heard goldfish.
Goldfish.
I've heard gnat.
Mm.
Well.
Blame Biowolf.
Anyway.
Sorry, kids.
Anyway, but Regret I honestly felt was too cluttered. I really did. I felt there wasn't enough space. I constantly felt like I was running into everything. I mean, the layout of it was pretty good. There was a lot of stuff going on that wasn't. I don't know. Like it just felt too cluttered. Like you felt too closed in.
I didn't
It
really
ran into the same problems that I think a lot of these maps did, and that is the clutter. Like these maps were just. I only felt one of them wasn't really cluttered, and that was the not Eden, or was it Eden, the nighttime map?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eden.
Yeah, that was the only map I truly felt was not cluttered at all.
Well, you had the whole backside of the generator room open up, and you have that bridge in the middle that's going to open things up a little bit as well. So there's a lot that was released from that. I mean, I don't know, like this Eden I felt was better out of the two. Empire I felt was just I didn't like Empire at all. I didn't like Regret. I think out of the 6 maps, I only honestly cared for the 3, which was Truth, Pegasus, and Eden. Like those were my top 3 out of the 6.
And see, I feel that Truth was a little too open.
Truth, I could see that. But there were quite a few dodge points that worked really in favor of kind of ducking and dipping. But I would say definitely that one was the better of them.
Yeah. I mean, Eden looked great. I mean, not Eden. Regret looked great. I like the fact you could jump on those little ramps in the middle coming from the towers and stuff. Like that was pretty cool. I got a lot of flanking in that. Now, like I flanked a lot of people going around. Like like me and Haas was on the one side. They were distracted on them. I could just sit there and shoot them or get them in the back and they'd die. There's a lot of cool stuff going on gameplay wise. I'm just going back to the same thing. It just felt too cluttered or too I don't know. It felt way too like you constantly bumped into stuff.
Mm.
For Regret for me, I kind of like that map. Although one thing that really annoyed me was how long it took to get from bottom car to top car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not having that lift there anymore kind of
and not having
shook things up.
Like you have to basically go over to one of the bases and then come back up. Just go from top car or to go from bottom car to top car. Where in like Truth or the Midship Classic, you only have to go like halfway and then you had the ramp back up. It took so long to get from bottom car to top car. And that bottom car area, if you were in there, you just got nade spammed and you were dead.
I felt the middle where Hydra was. A lot of people camped in there too. There was too much camping going on in there, and and there's also a lot of grenade spam going on in there too because of decamping. People knew it like that. After playing that map for the second week in a row, I noticed that there was a lot of flow change in that map. You had more people that were in the towers, less people in the middle, because a lot of people at that particular time, everybody was going for the Hydra because they didn't know exactly how it was playing in the first time around. So I feel that's where everybody was trying to go for. But it just the grenades in that map, they go nuts.
Yeah, Regret had different style than Truth did. There's a lot more. At least I felt this way. There's a lot more emphasis on top control for Regret than there was on Truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
way more.
The control point on that map was top car. You controlled top car, you controlled the whole map.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could control top, mid, and top car on regret, where on
It
top
didn't give you as much of an advantage on truth, though.
No, not at all.
Like on truth, I feel like
There was so much cover. There was so much cover.
Yeah.
and the engagement points would just change constantly throughout the game. Where on regret, you pretty much knew where the combat was going to happen. You either had the kind of overkill of a classic power weapon stalemate on the bottom, or you had people controlling top.
After about day 3, the battle down for the Hydra pretty much stopped because nobody wanted to pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's another reason why people got turned off on the Hydra too, is because they opened it on that map. You didn't really get to use it as well as I thought you could have used it maybe on Truth or maybe on Empire. Like, I don't know, you kind of like it just deterred me from even trying to use it, because after the first couple tries, it's like I would sit there and shoot them or try like I would target them and try to shoot them, and it would just bounce on to like a wall or blow up on a wall or something like that. But I mean, granted, a lot of people didn't know how to use it at that time either. But
the first time I picked it up, or first few times I picked it up, it was the same thing until I actually figured out what kind of mechanic I needed to use to, be effective with that weapon. And after I figured that out, it actually fits regret very well. It's the whole, shooting around corners gun.
Right.
It still felt
so it works
like
really well on that map.
For that map, though, it still felt like there was a lot of stuff in the way for, at least this is just me playing it, to really get good effective shots on people. Now, I did get some, but unless you had a pretty clear path to somebody, people can just thruster pack out of the way, and then all your Hydra rockets would be hitting walls or pillars or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That thruster pack killed the Hydra in a lot of instances.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
which I think
the targeting or whatever.
I think that's why it needs a little bit of a buff, and we talked about that last week.
Yeah. But it just makes me wonder though what they could do to maybe release and open up that map a little bit more, but still have the same flow or something, like maybe shrink stuff or something. I don't know. Like everybody talks about that map saying that it was their favorite out of the two. And I can't see it. I really can't. I don't know why. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but it just felt too much of a clutter of a map to play on.
I think reason it being somebody's favorite is just like anything. You have two different play styles between two different people.
True.
Godzilla is probably I don't know. Godzilla you could define your play style better than anybody else, but
I'm not exactly. I can define my play style. I just know what works with it and what doesn't.
Like I play more aggressively.
Yeah.
In most cases, so I that's why I hate so much cover. Is it creates a problem for me where somebody may not play as aggressively. They kind of want to do the pop shot thing where they kind of poke in and out. That would suit better to them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. It's me and you have kind of the same play style in a way, like when we do go in there just aggressively. But I think if they open that map up, I can see myself playing it a lot more because I do like it. I like the way it looks. I like the way the flow feels. It's just in some spots there's not enough going on at all. Like you could sit there and stay running around that one bend for a couple seconds and you don't see anybody. It's just because more people were concentrated maybe on top car or just on bottom at that particular time for the Hydra. I don't know. That's another thing too, is that more cover is going to sit there and increase the amount of people wanting to camp in that one spot.
Yeah, I think.
Is it top mid that seems cluttered to you guys, or
I think it's the whole center being kind of stretched out, right? And then all the ramps that lead up to center. If that kind of had been scaled down and the walls around top center were lowered, so you could at least have a grenade point spawning in the base or something along those lines, so your team can kind of advance out to the sides without really worrying that no damage has been up there. I kind of wish there were some grenade holes or something, like maybe not remove the whole wall, but give a window that you could throw those grenades through. And then it felt like it was a smashed mess in the middle, where if it was kind of more pulled up, it would play a little bit better.
Yeah. So, out of the two, out of Empire and Eden, what do you guys feel that you guys would like to see more of?
I personally liked the Empire.
Those were my two favorite maps.
The Empire Eden pair was my favorite.
Right.
If I had to change one thing, I think it'd be more weapons, and on Empire kind of remove some of that junk in bottom mid.
Yeah. Empire was all right. I felt there was a lot more flow going on that map than Regret. Like, you've seen a lot more people. But I felt that everybody liked going towards back sniper. That's where a lot of people were at. That and red base. I didn't see too many people going towards blue base or blue house or whatever you want to call it. But I do agree with you that maybe more weapons would help a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Like, I grabbed the battle rifle a lot, and like that was my go-to up before week 2, so we got BR starts. So I knew where all the weapon spawns were immediately. So that's the first thing I went to was the BR. And like there was a lot of people that didn't know what they were doing with that. They didn't even pay attention to some of the weapon spawns, it seems.
I think a lot of people didn't pay attention to the weapon spawns because, one, they were just trying to sort out everything that was going on around them, and then also the weapons weren't very well called out to your attention. And I'm not asking for the Halo 4 style of calling out a weapon, but some form
They were
of
hard to
just
see.
knowing.
Yeah.
Well, they were hidden. Like,
Yeah.
if you were coming out of blue
Well,
base or whatever, you didn't see that. Like, you didn't see the BR right away. You had to go around that one little corner, and then you would have seen it.
Yep.
It's the same color
I think just
contrast
like-
issue that we had with seeing the Spartans, basically.
Mm-hmm.
At least
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
Well, on the weapons, like we talked about last show, just putting a highlight on them. Not make them glow,
Like a slight outline.
but like the red outline in ODST. Just a faint line around the edge of the weapon, just enough to where you can see enough detail of what it is, the actual shape of it. And I think that would be fine. I don't think they need waypoints on them like they use in Halo 2A or Halo 4.
Oh God, no.
Just a little outline on the weapon would work just fine.
Right.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
want to kind of go back to a comment you made, Haas, or Bio when he did, but I felt that Truth had a lot of weapons on it. Like, way more so than normal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you had... I'm trying to think of all the amount. You had the BR in the front, like as soon as where you spawned on both sides. You had the 2 SMGs, 2 DMRs. You had a whole bunch of grenade spawns. The sword. Like, there was a lot of weapons on that map.
I didn't feel like there were that many weapons, but
Well, there was
I don't
SMGs,
know.
there were
Truth,
BRs, there were DMRs. I mean, every room that you went to, there was at least 2 weapons in there.
Yeah.
okay. Maybe I wasn't just paying attention to it.
You
Now,
might
as far as on
you might have just not
Empire,
seen them.
Yeah, that too.
Empire, at first glance, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of weapon spawns on there, but for the size of the map, I think there's plenty of weapon spawns. I would probably suggest a little different weapon set.
I think that's part of the
Like-
problem because, like for Truth, I'd assume that you would normally have Covenant weapons on there, and that might have been part of the issue because you had
Mhm.
all human weapons, and then you had the Prophet's Bane.
Yeah, I
mean-
completely didn't even realize that.
Like carbine would normally be there, plasma rifle, plasma pistol, needler would be traditional classic weapons on that map.
Well, like I said, it's a beta. They weren't testing out the Covenant weapons for whatever reason. So, they had this weapon set that they said they would put out. They used those weapons and, they don't fit every map. So when we get the final game, the weapon spawns are going to be different because there's going to be different weapons there because we'll have a full range, the full arsenal available to us. So, as far as weapons, it was good for the beta. They can be improved on as far as what weapons are on the map.
because they can be more tailored to the map.
Right. And unfortunately, we just didn't get that in this beta.
I would have liked to see more Covenant.
I think everyone's kind of on board with this idea, but it seems like everyone kind of wants another beta at some point.
Oh, I'd love another beta.
There's just too much that we want changed, that they're changing, and that we haven't seen. We haven't gotten a big enough picture of what they're really thinking to do in the game.
Right. Now, it's not to say, like, force our hands, like, we've seen the beta, we've seen how much feedback there is, we need another beta to see what else you're working on. But because there's so much more to the Halo sandbox that is used in competitive play that was not really shown here, I think a few people are kind of, like, cautious or still a little more curious about, okay, we have a small sample of how Halo 5 is going to play, but we really are still missing some of the key elements of how it's going to play out, because Covenant weapons are used in competitive. I mean, Carbine's been in there, and Plasma Pistol's been in there in past competitive matches, because they do have a competitive playstyle to them, because they serve certain purposes.
Noob combo.
Yeah. And there's other game types in there too. Like Capture the Flag is a classic competitive game mode, Oddball or Assault. Game types like those are classic competitive modes as well. So I appreciate them having this beta out there, but it would be interesting to see how some of the stuff that they got feedback from this, how it translates into the other stuff that they're working on that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, the thing though that me and a lot of other people said the same thing is that you can't give everybody what they want because it'll corrupt the game. You know what I mean? Like, if you constantly give and give of what people are wanting and then what it needs, they're two different things. I mean, we have more of an idea of what it should and could need and should, like, have in the game. But you're going to have all these people that are going to be like, oh, let's get another beta so we can sit there and give them more feedback. And then they're going to end up changing whatever it is that was all right the first time around that's completely different the second time around. So I don't think that I would love to have another beta, just because I do want to play more of it.
Right.
But I don't think a second beta would honestly, it'd benefit them in some cases, but if they're looking for more feedback, it'll start to corrupt what they're trying to go for as an image. But the thing is that we don't know it. You know, we don't know what their initial thing is for Halo 5 as,
right.
Like, I mean, we got a quick glimpse of it, but I don't know. I feel that if we give them too much of what we want, things will start to mess up.
Well, in all honesty, the next beta, if they have a beta, is going to be the, like, traditional beta that's been out there, where it's the network stress test beta that comes out like a month and a half in advance. I don't think we're really going to have another beta that is on the extent of what we had here. I'm just kind of voicing what everyone would like to see, but I highly doubt
it'd
we'd
be
get
more of
something
a
like that.
balancing type thing. Like, hey, here's a shotgun. What do you guys think? Oh, well, it might be a little too powerful. Okay, we tweaked it down just a notch for release.
Well, that's something that they should be able to figure out with internal testing and then the whole like the whole private invite testing that they typically do for games like that, like with friends and family and people like that. So I think that, I mean, it's hard to say at this point, and with builds that they may have at conventions, we might see some of that progress. But at this point, it's really hard
that would be nice
to say how the sandbox is going to change with adding Covenant weapons in there, and we still have the Promethean weapons to add in there too. However, those get changed up.
Yeah, I think a big thing that we're going to be, and I pray to God that we do see it at RTX and PAX, is them show off what they have done so far and let people see how they're changing it and how well that's going to do. Because with all the amount of people that they're going to be talking to at the event, like, they can get hands-on. They'll be watching what they're doing, understand, like, hey, this is a little bit off. And then the next person will say the same thing. Like, they'll get a better picture. I think more interactivity with their fans.
SquirrelNet at its peak.
There he goes. I guess we haven't really talked about Empire and Eden that much, so let's talk about those maps. I felt Empire was... I liked the symmetry of it. I liked how you started out in the two bases, and then you had the fight for the power weapons. And like I said last week, I don't think that Empire needed 2 sniper rifles.
No,
Yeah, I
not at
definitely
all.
agree.
The sniper on the inside should definitely be changed to something more short range, like a shotgun
Yeah,
or
like a shotgun.
a rocket with 2 shots. Or maybe a sword. I don't know, but I just felt 2 snipers was a little too much for that map, and especially because that was kind of on the smaller side maps. I don't feel like 2 snipers works on that size. You kind of need more of a sanctuary size to get that 2 snipers game actually balanced and rolling.
But like traditional Halo is that you have battle for power weapons,
Well, you can have battle for power weapons,
and you don't need 2 of the same power weapon on there.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay.
Have
Yeah,
one
like
sniper rifle, and then
sniper on the
others
outside and a shotgun or rockets or sword on
sword
the inside.
Okay.
We track it.
So as far as like, I think how the map flows, I actually really enjoyed Empire compared to something like Truth.
Me too. It gave you the combination of ranges where, if the SMG was tuned properly, that you had a situation for pretty much every weapon on the map.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little short for sniper, but I mean you could still be effective with a sniper. But I mean, there was areas of the map where DMR worked really well, where the battle rifle worked really well, and then your assault rifle and the SMG were just dominating, that really short range stuff. It really made me wish there was a shotgun there, because that map would have been an absolute blast with a shotgun, literally,
Yeah.
or a sword. And that's kind of what, on the flip side, that's kind of what I liked about Eden, is because you had that long range and you had that short range power weapon there, and the map played with that very well, because there was areas where the sword was really would really dominate, and then there was areas where the sniper rifle or the light rifle, either way, were really effective, because you had that longer range to where you could be effective with the sniper and the longer range weapons, but you still had the close in. So I liked both maps. I personally did better on Eden than I did on I just had it. What's the other map?
Empire.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I did Empire.
I liked Eden more as well. I think it was being so much more open at big points, and the action kind of had this like ring around the center, but ring around the outside of the map where a lot of the action was kind of focused, but you had those 2 bridges that kind of felt like they were pushing into the middle of the map, but they were still on the border of the outer rims of the map.
Yeah, and I liked that on those bridges where you actually did have a distinct advantage on the bridges, as far as just being able to see the map. The position wasn't so overpowering that you couldn't be knocked off of it. So, the balance between, having the power position with the height on and all that, I think it was balanced really well. You had to work together to unseat the other team to take over that spot. And it wasn't like such an overpowering point in the map where, once you got control of it, you got control of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything felt balanced. Having the sniper and the sword, just like we were just talking about, having it on each side of the map, and then you had the
2 light rifles.
The 2 light rifles. It just on the 2 other edges, it just kind of felt like there was something for whatever way of the map you went, and I really like that, because it encouraged movement, but it also didn't force your hand to give up map position to get one of those things.
And I think the map flow just, at least on Eden, seemed to really, for lack of a better word, conduct that kind of constant moving of where the kind of the power points were on the map. And it did seem like a lot of the instances, or a lot of the big fights happened around red base on that map, but you still had to kind of go out and get those power weapons. So it did seem like there was still a lot of moving around and controlling power weapons that seemed to play in there. I think from a map control perspective, Regret kind of took the cake on that with controlling top carbine, but I think in terms of balanced play, Eden just seemed to have it. I don't know if it was just the combination of having the sniper, the sword, and the light rifles in there, but that map, to me, Eden just stuck out as kind of the staple map from the beta.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple of things that we're not going to quite get into. I want to get some Forge people on to talk about Orion and Pegasus, so I think we're going to skip those for tonight. But Bio did drop. I don't know if he's going to get back in here before we wrap up. From a artistic style standpoint, since we kind of touched on that in Truth, what do you guys think of Empire and Eden being on skyscrapers? I kind of like having that feeling of kind of being outside in an industrial area. I think it suits Halo playstyle very well.
It kind of gave me like a ODST.
Yeah, it kind of did.
And that's what I really liked about it, especially on Eden, that it was a dark setting. You're at the top of these towers that maybe you only saw the bottom of them in ODST. And that's kind of where my mind went with it. That being the direction they were going, who knows? But that's kind of how I felt, especially playing on that one. On Empire, I really just kind of like the ships flying by.
I enjoyed the night, having the day and night. I really enjoyed having the night gameplay. It's something we don't see in Halo. I almost expect to hit X button and have my visor light up when I was playing the map. But I liked both maps. Aesthetically, they were neat to look at, but they weren't distracting. They had really good map flow. You never really focused a whole lot in one area for very long. The battles kind of moved around the map and in a natural progression. So that was kind of nice, more so than Truth and Regret did, where they the battles kind of tended to stay focused in certain areas. So I was very impressed with both maps.
Yep, me too. I loved the look. I loved the kind of civilian style. I appreciated on the way I appreciated Turf in Halo 2, where it was it didn't really have a military feel to it. It kind of just had like that civilian vibe. And that's kind of one of those things I really it piques my interest in the Halo universe, is the civilian life, civilian whatever.
It reminded me of it was a better map than Boardwalk was, but it reminded me of Boardwalk in the way on Reach. I liked Boardwalk because you did have the human side of things. You didn't you're always used to seeing, the Covenant, even Halo 4, on ships or Prometheus or Forerunner or whatever it is that we're doing. But I like the civilian style of the map.
Again, I think that just harkens back to the ODST stuff.
Yeah.
I almost kind of want to see more of the cityscape style maps, because I think back to Halo 2, like Turf, Terminal, and those are some really cool maps. And Halo 4, we really didn't have those kinds of maps. I kind of miss those.
Mm-hmm.
The cityscape maps.
Like the Ivory Towers and...
Yeah, kind of like...
What is there?
Kind of like Ivory Tower, yes.
Human structure, building kind of things.
I kind of find the Forerunner style maps boring right now. And maybe that's because in Halo Reach, everything was Forerunner. Everything.
Yeah.
Because
you mean Halo 4?
Nobody wanted to play the map, or in Halo Reach.
Halo Reach?
Well, even you could...
Just because of the Forge pieces.
Yeah, because every map slowly started becoming a Forge map on Halo Reach. And, I mean, Forgers, granted, they were great maps, but looking at them, I was like, oh, look, more Forerunner. Yeah. It's gray. And I think that's why I disliked Haven so much. again, good map, but it was boring to look at and play on.
And yeah, that's something that Reach suffered from. I think a lot of people kind of accepted that, and I think that's one of the reasons why everyone really liked the Forge system for Halo 2 Anniversary, and then the Halo, just kind of the small glimpses that we got in Halo 5, people were, at least quite a few Forgers were really happy with what they saw in Halo 5 too.
I would really like to see a Covenant Forge palette. Like, I would really like to see something in the Covenant style.
Yes, please. We've had.
I mean,
we have the Forerunner palette and the I guess kind of the human palette.
UNSC.
Yeah, but we really haven't had a fully fleshed out Covenant palette.
Yeah, I mean, in Forge, it'd be unique to see if you were able to choose from 3 different palettes. Maybe not as much stuff, but being able to, it'd be interesting to see what people could make. Make Forge wise, like if they could combine like Forerunner and Covenant, or UNSC and Covenant, or Forerunner. Like, it'd be interesting to see what people would come up with.
I would love a Covenant set, even though I think there are technical reasons why we haven't.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a bummer, but like all the curves and the I just imagine like there just being issues with grenades not bouncing correctly, or who knows, getting caught on a lip that you don't see but is there. Who knows? I figure that is always something they want to implement, but they're not.
Yeah. Sadly.
I still think it's possible though, because you could have.
I mean, it'd be incredible.
You could do pillars. You could do, because I'm thinking back to Halo 1. What was the map that had the Covenant map that had the waterfall in it? That was remade for Halo C Anniversary.
I almost said Damnation. Wow.
Well, that's the name I was thinking too, but that's I forget. But anyway, you know what map I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like that, I could see being forgeable, because you could have the walkways as all like flat square pieces, and then you have pillars that can be forged in there, and you can have pipes and tunnels and all that stuff.
I mean, I could see a simple forge palette for Covenant stuff, but there's a lot of textured things that'd be in it. That'd be like going back with like what Haas was saying. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff we could see that would maybe from like Truth or Midship that would be interesting that you could forge into that. Like maybe just the middle piece, like how that has that whole ring thing that kind of have those 4 stuff, like little things like that would be interesting to see. But like it'd be interesting what they would come up with. But there's a lot of stuff that you would have to put a lot of kill boundaries on too, because of those curvatures. You would have people that would be hiding, people that would constantly, you would want to deter them away from doing that. You would want to try to get the map flow as much as what is possible. It'd be interesting to see what they could do with it.
Maybe we'll have it one day. Who knows?
Maybe.
But back to Eden and Empire. I think one of the things that stuck out to me for Empire was how much pretty much every location was used, because you had a lot from the inside tower jumping across to the platforms that went out to the, I guess, generator outside, or the fans. Then you had quite a bit of activity in the base, and it just felt like Empire was the one map where pretty much the whole map was utilized during an entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that, it's great. But also giving you that created a bunch of, like we've talked many times, of that clutter right there in the middle.
Yeah. It just makes me wonder why it's like there. Like, I mean, I would really like to talk to the guy that made it to see what was the purpose of that. I mean, maybe so there's not much shooting cross map. That way there's not easy straight through kills. I mean, that's something, but put something else there besides that. Like, it just makes too much in.
Well,
like too much clutter.
So you think Empire was too cluttered?
It was.
Really? Empire? I would say.
No, I don't think it was cluttered. I think it was it was more or less like there was, I don't know, something was off about it. Even when I was playing it, I could never really put my finger on it. I don't know if it was just the way it was laid out or how it was, but like the remake Eden was perfect. I love the way it flowed. Like I liked the way it was. It was open on the reactor room or the fan or whatever it is you want to call it. I like that. I like the bridge. But it was just something about Empire that was off, and I still can't place where it was.
The only thing I found off on Empire was there was a ledge when you go underneath lower bridge, you would go underneath kind of like this little dip, and it looked like you could jump up at this one location at the other end and clamber, but you couldn't. And that was the only thing that ever felt off to me on that map. Everything else felt really like good sight lines, well balanced because there was so much around the map. I don't know. I really liked that map.
So out of the two, you liked Empire out of the Eden, besides the
okay. Wait, sorry. Eden is the dark one, right?
Yes.
I keep mixing these two. Okay. Yeah. Empire, I did not like the clutter in the middle.
See, okay, so
Eden, I liked a lot.
So I did say clutter. I thought you okay. I don't know. Apart from that stuff in the middle, like something like them opening up the reactor. What is that? Is it the cooling room, the reactor room? Like what did they call that? Was there a specific name for it?
I think reactor is fine. I don't remember what the official call out was.
All right, but I think it was smart of them to open that up a little bit. It flowed a lot better, and I like the way that you could have those those little, I don't even know what to call them, the things that came up out of the ground. If you shot, the other set would pop up, the little walls they had. You guys know what I'm talking about? Outside, like if you're going towards a light rifle, there are these walls that you could sit there and shoot the white light at. You could shoot the white light, and then those two would collapse, and the other two would pop up.
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little baffled myself.
No, I mean there was chat may be able to help me out, but there were walls that you could shoot that would collapse, and then two more would take on the other side.
This is on the outside?
It was outside, yeah, over by reactor, like going towards battle rifles and all of them.
Huh.
I guess I'm just having a hard time thinking it.
Me too, or I just never noticed it.
Yeah. The only reason why I remember that so well is because you can get a lot of grenade kills in there. Like if someone's hiding around that one little wall, you're going to bounce it off the one and you get them directly beneath their feet and kill them. It was easy.
Yeah. Zerkur in the chat said, he kind of said that there's not necessarily cluttered, but because of how much there was in there on Empire, people could get away really quick, which I can see as definitely a valid concern.
Yeah.
It did seem like a very
we kind of discussed that
map.
when we were discussing Sprint.
Yeah.
That kind of played into the argument against Sprint was because of all that extra avenues to get away and dip out of being seen.
Yeah.
Again, that's a balance thing. And they've talked about how they're going to modify the base player speed in Sprint. And I really wonder if, since they're changing that, how is that going to change map design? Because it seemed like, at least for Truth, they designed that map a lot around infinite sprint and how fast that was.
Well, there's still infinite sprint, but you're just moving slower. I can't think of anything that's going to be hurt by you not having that top end speed that you did in terms of flowing of the map. I mean, you're just not going to get from A to B as quickly.
Well, it all depends on how much they adjusted as to how noticeable it is.
And I wish we had someone competitive on to really talk about the implications of that, because I know I'm not like that in the know of like how drastic the effect would be for a small speed change like that. But I would have to assume that it changes gameplay quite significantly.
Oh, absolutely. So going back out of the two maps, so me and Haas like Eden, the Empire and Eden group. What are you and Godzilla? Like, you guys like Empire? Is what I'm getting.
I actually like Eden.
I like Eden.
Oh, you like Eden? Okay, so Empire seems to be the one that a lot of people didn't personally care for. Like,
see, I liked Empire. I think part of its flaw was the weapons we were given and the weapons they placed on the maps. And I think that was mostly the 2 snipers.
I felt, but the thing that's really weird, and I may be going back on my words if I go back to listen to the other podcast, but I felt that the sniper on Eden you could use a little bit more better with that bridge. I felt that sniper being there kept people off the bridge a lot more. That's me. That's just my opinion, but it seemed that more people kept off that bridge because there was a sniper there.
Well, that and the light rifle was a pretty good reason to stay off that bridge, or at least stay in cover while you're on the bridge.
Right.
Pop out, take your shots, and then get back into cover. And that's what that's one of the points I like about the map, is that you can unseat them off that power position. It takes work. It's not just, turn around the corner and kill them all and it's done. You have to work together with your other teammates to clear the area, but it's something that's possible. It's just not something that's the impossible task, like, somebody glitching into a wall or something where, you can't touch them. They can shoot you, but you can't shoot them type deal. But, I honestly, for the beta, I probably would have flipped the weapon spawns between Eden and did it again.
Empire and Eden?
Empire and Eden. Put the 2 snipers on Eden and put the sniper and sword on Empire. But, that would, just my points, because, Empire was more of the close quarters map of the 2. And I think the sword would have really shined a lot better on Empire than it did on Eden. Don't get me wrong, it was really effective on Eden, but I think it would have been a lot more useful on Empire.
Yeah. I don't feel that the sniper rifle should have been on Empire. I really don't. I felt that a shotgun would have been a little bit more appropriate for that. But I don't feel that. I think the sword on Eden was. I liked the sword on Eden. Liked it a lot. I don't know.
Oh, I did too.
I don't know. It might have helped things out a little bit if you would have had that sword in there.
I just think with Empire, I think it probably would have left a little better taste in everybody's mouth if the sword was on that map, because it's a tight map and the sword works better in those tight situations. I think you'd get a different experience out of Empire if the sword was there, of the weapons that we were given.
Yeah, I could see a sword working on that map. Again, like I said last week, though, I think shotgun would have been very nice to see in this beta.
Oh, absolutely. I really want to see how powerful it was compared to, like, Halo 4s or whatever. I want to see how it looked, too.
Yeah. So, Video Games 101
says... Well, at that point, I wanted to see everything,
Yeah. Video Games 101 said, wouldn't one shotgun be better to replace the snipers on Empire? I think maybe replacing one of the snipers would be good.
It'd balance it out a lot better if they were just one and with a shotty.
I think so. I think that pretty much wraps up everything, unless you guys have any last comments about the maps. I know we kind of jumped all over the place, guys, so...
You want to talk about Trench and Crossfire?
No, we're going to talk about that next week when we have Uni on. And we'll talk about Breakout then as well. And we'll probably talk about the other game types as well. Yeah. And then we're going to save the Forge maps for kind of another shorter Forge episode and try to get some Forge guys on, like Duquesne and maybe Pete the Duck and some other guys. So we'll try to get a little more variety. So we'll likely have 2 or 3 more Halo 5 breakdown shows, and then we'll be kind of moving back into our normal get up of community content and Halo updates and all that stuff, depending on what's there. And then we are looking to get back into doing some lore stuff and trying to get some other community people on and some other communities on to do stuff. So that's where we're kind of looking at right now. A couple of things to mention. There is the Ultimate game sale going on this week on Xbox, and Halo 4 on Xbox 360 is going to be on sale for games on demand. 50% if you're silver and 60% off if you're gold member. So you can get that downloaded. And then the Master Chief Collection is going to be on sale. this weekend as well, and it's going to be 60% discounted for gold members and then 25% discounted for silver members, which I know that we've been talking about this internally among the staff here, but it kind of would have been nice to have the content update out by the time this sale went on, and I saw a couple of people in the chat mention that earlier too, and
I was really disappointed not seeing that happen.
I know.
I really thought that's why it was going on sale, kind of as a, here you guys go. Thank you for the patience for all of you that have been waiting or returned it. Here's
It's sad because if like one of my friends, I got a good 10 people that I know, good friends of mine that they're stuck on 360 because they don't want to make the change to Xbox One just yet. And I told them, I said it was Master Chief Collection was going on sale, and they said the Master Chief Collection is what they're waiting on to get fixed to buy Xbox Ones, and they said that this sale would have done it. They said that this would have maybe increased them getting a chance. They increased the chance of them getting an Xbox One. So it would have been a little bit smarter if if they would have waited and then had the patch go out and then do it, because there was no like particular reason why they had this date for this sale, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, there's that way to look at it, you know, as far as your friends that don't own Xbox Ones yet. But if it's something that it kind of all depends on what they're really waiting on as far as on the Master Chief Collection. You know, if they want, they could still purchase it for the discounted price. And then when they get the Xbox One, they'll already own the license to it and will be able to download it. But I can kind of see why they're waiting until, you know, people start saying, yeah, it works. You can play it. And
yeah, they don't want to sit there and waste all that money for a game for a patch to come out, and then all of a sudden it's still not up to par what it should be, you know. And that I completely can understand that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there right now that are saying the same thing.
I definitely can't wait for that patch to come out because it definitely make the matchmaking a lot more.
It's so long overdue.
I hope it makes. Yeah, I just hope it does. It makes real significant changes.
Yeah. Although I found a couple matches today within seconds of looking at matchmaking. Like that, it was probably just a wild card, but I went in the Rumble or whatever. Within 5 seconds of looking up, searching for players, I was in a match immediately, and that happened like 4 or 5 times. So, I mean, I don't know what that was about, but
I found that, you know, that's kind of a per playlist deal. You know, there'll be nights I'll hop into the Halo 4 playlist and just boom, I'm getting games one right after another. And then I'll say, well, okay, I'm tired of Halo 4, so I'll go play some Halo 2A, and
it takes forever.
5 minutes later, I still don't have a game. You know, so I'll say, okay, well, I'll go to Halo CE. All right, well, I get a game, but it took, 5-8 minutes for it to actually load up. It's so unpredictable between the different playlists, and it's random which playlist works on any given night.
Me and Biowolf were getting games right before, but we were seemed some sort of connection issue or registration issues. It was a little frustrating, but I still enjoy playing it somehow.
Oh, it's when you can get the games without the hassle, it's a lot of fun to play. It's Halo. It's what we've been playing for the last 10, 12, 14 years, whatever. It's still that same game. It's just getting having the experience without all the hassles along with the experience. Having troubles with the voice chat and having troubles finding games and having troubles with, people getting kicked out of your parties if you're playing with friends, stuff like that. And that's what, it makes it a bad experience. And it's really upsetting to me when that happens because, when I've got people in a lobby, I want them to enjoy their time playing the game, and spending the time with me. I want them to enjoy the whole experience. And when you've got a game that does this, it's really frustrating. So, I completely understand with people wanting to wait. And yes, I do agree that they should have waited to do the sale until that patch came out, and till the patch came out and it was confirmed it was working.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've been a proponent of like giving 343 patience about all this, but this is something that should have been done a while ago, and a lot of the communities
Times weren't.
Huh?
I said time and patience just weren't then with a lot of people.
Yeah,
And you can only give so much time. You can't wait forever.
This ain't no student left behind. This is video games. Like,
I mean,
we're not giving you years for this. We're giving you more time than you already need. You should have had this done at the earliest by Christmas, or at the latest by Christmas.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that was not delivered.
You can only go. There's a thin line of people being patient and people just dropping off and don't care anymore. Like there's that line, and I think for a lot of people it's past that, and it's sad to say, it really is. And I'm one of those people that are optimistic about the whole situation, but it's wearing thin. It really is.
I've always bought the Halo games for the story, and Halo 4 was a setback. I still enjoyed the story. Don't get me wrong. And, Halo 5, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the story because they haven't really, totally let me down on that yet. So, in my mind, the matchmaking is kind of a secondary thing. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the matchmaking. I love getting together with friends and going into matchmaking and totally getting our asses kicked or, just dominating. Either way. But, my initial reason to buy the game is I want to know the next chapter of the story. And that's why I got involved in the books and everything. So, I'm probably one of those guys, no matter, as long as the campaign portion is playable, I probably will continue to buy the games.
I mean, there was a point where people were just getting, like, even the campaign. I mean, if you're wanting to play single player, I can understand that. But I like enjoying the campaign story and all that stuff too with other people. And if a game can't keep sync with the two players, and one's literally driving up a wall with one tank, and then the other one completely on the other side of the story or mission,
but it probably has a little bit to do with SquirrelNet too. But
I don't know about that.
That was crazy. There was no. It doesn't matter.
I know what you mean. The games needs to be able to keep people in sync, no matter what the connection is, within limits. I mean, if you're doing it on a 56K modem, which if you still are, where have you been for the last 10 years? But on any high speed, always on connection, it should be able to easily keep the game, keep the two players synced up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, me and Dust were just playing Halo 3 with no problem the other day.
Yeah.
Like, we had no problem at all. It was actually really smooth.
A lot of people, though, are having problems, though, since the last update with the single player and multiplayer and not being able to play it, period. Especially in co-op. Co-op just seems to bring out more opportunity for issues. I mean, in the chat right now, Masters can't do Halo 2 co-op. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like they release these patches and it fixes it for some people, but it doesn't fix it for others. And it's like, what's going on? Or it fixes it. Yeah. Like you said, Dust, it fixes it for some people. And then other people that it was working fine before the patch, it breaks it.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Everybody's playing the same game. What's going, what is the variable?
I want to know what's going on. I really do. And I think 343 opening up and saying what's going on would give people a little bit more.
Yeah, but part of that is probably Microsoft proprietary stuff that they don't want out. When it comes to networking and party system.
Give me don't give away your trade secrets on, what is broken, but say, hey, okay, well, we see where there's a problem, in, this particular part of our matchmaking system, because we did something different than we did before. You know, I don't know how, you know, how detailed people want to get. I understand that, you know, you can't, you know, break down, okay, well, we had trouble with, you know, line number 5028 and 32 of code. You know, I don't need to know that. But it would be nice to get maybe
Response.
well, yeah, a response, or, you know, just a little bit more detail in what they are actually working on. Okay, you know, okay, we're working on matchmaking updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you trying to fix to make the matchmaking better?
Yeah.
I mean, are you trying to fix how each Xbox connects to the servers, how the servers talk to the Xboxes? You know, is the, you know, the player matchup system screwed up? It's not matching people correctly because due to the internet connection they have, or, you know, stuff like that. You know, and none of that, what I just mentioned, would be, you know, proprietary to Microsoft. You know, it just,
Some of it could be though.
well, I mean, yeah, it could be, but you're not giving away trade secrets by saying, well, we're having a problem with the Xboxes talking to the servers because we screwed up.
Yeah, but that's admitting something that they might not necessarily want to admit.
Well, they need to admit it.
Yeah, I know. That's, I mean,
You know, I was raised, you admit to your mistakes. If you screwed up, say you screwed up. And I respect people that do that. You know, if you can walk up to me and say, hey man, I really wanted to get this done for you, but I screwed up and I didn't get it done. I'm like, okay, well, what can you do to make it right?
yeah.
You know, I deal with people all the time, and, you know, on a warranty issue or something like that, I get people that bring me stuff and say, man, I took this out of the box and it was broken. It's like, really? Because when it left, it wasn't. You know, it's like, tell me that you messed up and you pushed too hard on it and you broke it.
Well,
And-
Bonnie Rice kind of did that already.
Yeah, she did. But it's, you know, she said, yeah, okay, we screwed up on the game, but okay, what did you screw up? Other than it's totally foobar.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can answer
You know,
someday, but
what this-
likely we won't.
Yeah, most likely we won't. And we will probably never know. Unless, you know, some former 343 employee, you know, leaks the information somewhere. Or some former Microsoft employee.
Right. I don't know. If we get lucky someday, maybe we can get someone from 343 to talk sense a little bit. But, I mean, a lot of that stuff's close hold. And I can understand why they want to keep it close hold, but it's that balance of, like, how much do you want to release as info about something that's wrong versus, like, actually opening up to the community. And it's a hard balance. I definitely wouldn't want to be in 343's position, but I think from the standpoint of having what I consider the core community being, like, if they really want the community to be supportive of Halo, they need to open up more, I think. Or if they want the community to be more understanding, because the community's fed up as it is
Absolutely.
already.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to sit there and tell everybody, you know, be patient with us. Great. Be patient. Be patient for what? For you guys not to give us any sort of information at all? You know, it's people are wanting to know something. Yeah, we know there's a problem. What is that problem? You know, what is it that, you know, that you guys are working on that's taking this long? You know, any sort of anything at all would help a lot.
Judging by the community update, from the sounds of it, the fundamental changes sounds like they're redoing some stuff. Whether it's netcode, whether it's party code, and from what a few people have told me, it sounds like there's two different sets of party APIs, and Halo is using a newer API versus the older API, which a lot of the games like Titanfall and Call of Duty use, which those games are stable and Master Chief Collection isn't. Maybe something along those lines, or some other
it also
thing that they're going back and changing that.
Yeah.
I mean, the word fundamental sticks out to me.
Yeah. Big. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. When I read that, I kind of made me think that, okay, well, they're pretty much completely redoing the matchmaking system in its entirety. or a really big chunk of it.
Yeah, I think Fundamental came into play when they said they wanted to have a beta for the latest patch. I think that kind of screams something too.
I hope
Yep.
I hope that the amount of time that they're taking on this patch means that it's going to be a patch that fixes a lot of things. I doubt that it's going to be the patch to end all patches, but I'm hoping it's something that
Drastic changes.
is, huge drastic changes.
Yeah, they definitely need to nail this patch, and they need to get matchmaking to where, at least 90% of the time you get in there and you get games and your parties stay together. It doesn't switch the party lead. You can talk to your teammates, stuff like that. Little bugs I'm not so worried about, but get the game to where you can get together with your friends and you can go into matchmaking and you can play a game, you can stay together, and you can talk to each other.
At least for me, the sticking together has seemed to help. It just takes a while for the party to rejoin, like 30 seconds or so after you back out of a post-game report.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And sometimes, basically what I've gotten to the point is that if I'm party lead, I won't back out of the post-game report until it actually pops up the notice that, so many players been added to my party. And that's the one thing that it bothers me, is that it has to add the other players back to the party. They should never be removed from my party. And it's that kind of instability that bothers me, because sometimes they do get added back in, and then there's sometimes when you basically got to kill the party and start all over. The last game night, unfortunately, I was having some issues. It kept switching party host on us. We'd come out of the game and I'd no longer be party host or party leader. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just things like that. I hope this patch fixes.
Yep. Well, hopefully not too long ago, or not too long in the future. We'll see what comes out. Someone did post a question a while ago in the chat. Someone on the topic of what we're talking about tonight. Wondering how many big team battle maps do we think are going to have in Halo 5?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah,
I would hope at least 8. But with all these remixes, if they remix every single map, we got 8 of those. That's 16 big team maps.
That's a lot of maps. Haas.
Well, so I think it might be more in the 5 to 6. I think we're gonna see. I hope we see between 15 and 20 launch maps.
No, that's a
lot.
A lot of maps. That's a lot of maps.
It just eventually we're gonna get there.
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
well,
having
Halo
that
2,
many maps long.
Halo 2, it was Halo 2 that had the most maps at launch, right?
Yeah, it was like 13 or something
maps,
like
I
that.
think.
I thought it was 15.
Man, it was in the teens. I know that.
Right.
Yeah. So
I honestly think it's probably going to be around 4.
I'm with Godzilla on this. I don't think it's going to be that many.
I would
think
say
we're
around
gonna-
4 to 6.
Yeah, I would say 4 big team.
4
Probably
including remixes or without remixes.
no 4 big team total.
Oh, that'd be painful.
And then they'll have some mid-sized maps, 3 to 4 of those, and then the bulk of the maps they're gonna be focusing on competitive. So you're probably looking 5 to 6 competitive, like 4v4 maps.
Right. Going back on that though, that's boggling me right now. I wonder how many maps they are going to remix.
I thought they said every map had to have a remix. In one of the sprint episodes, they were saying, "Remember, every map has to have a remix." I mean, maybe that
I
was.
think that may be just before the beta, though.
Yeah, I think that may be the case, because if there's like 6 maps all together, like just maps they're gonna come with, they all have to have remix maps. I mean, that's a lot.
I don't see them shipping 30 maps with the game.
Oh
No,
God,
no. I don't want 30 maps. I would like 16 maps. I know that number's high, but personally, I'm sick of paying for maps that I know are near complete when a game releases, and then having to pay for them. I mean, I get it; it's part of the business, but whatever. But I would like some variety at launch. I feel like Halo 4 did not have variety at launch,
That's
and
not.
I don't think Reach did really either. I felt Halo 2 and 3 had the best variety at launch.
I feel that the DLC maps for Halo 4 were the weakest. Like, they weren't the greatest at all. I mean, the two everybody talks about that is in Halo 4 is Haven and Ragnarok, or well, the three. The Haven, Ragnarok, and Pitfall. Those are the three maps that I see get brought up all the time. That's all what people ever want to play. And the two of which are being remade. They're just updated version of the old ones.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think we've bled that about to death.
Yeah, but yeah, guess that's enough to say about that. So, quick change of things happening within Podtacular is we're going to be moving our game nights to a game night and doing it on Friday because of stuff happening on during the week. And we actually had a staff meeting about this on Tuesday, talking about how there's been a lot of absences from staff not being there, and our schedule's getting really mixed up during the week. So we feel Friday is probably a better option for us to kind of be a little more easier to get on, so we have a lot more staff on, and also opens up the window for other people to come on and play, because during the week people have commitments and sometimes it's hard to get around those commitments, and Friday nights typically are typically a time where people are available and we can get more people on. So we're gonna
try Friday nights for a while and see how it works. The start time's still going to be the same, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to join in, just message me on Xbox Live at Godzilla space and put a space in there, T, and we'll get you into the party. The the theme behind this one, we're not really doing a customs night or a matchmaking night. We're just going to do it with, what the lobby wants to do. If you guys want to play customs, I'll throw on some customs. You get tired of customs, you want to go into matchmaking, we'll go into matchmaking. So you're going to have a lot more input into what we do. But like I said, if you guys want to join up, feel free to just message me anytime during the week, and I'll get you invited in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Another thing for me is that when I get my new computer rig up and running, I'll actually be streaming a lot more and I'll be playing Halo a lot more. So I think that kind of goes the same for, I think Haas is definitely trying to get on a lot more. So if you see us online, definitely shoot us a message. I'm trying to be a little more responsive about people who send me invites. So I did actually play with a couple of people this week from the community, and just trying to get back into the swing of playing Halo. Hopefully in anticipation that the content update's going to fix some things. So it better.
Yay.
And we're going to have some of the game nights, and I kind of leave this up to the discretion of Godzilla, that I have received a few requests of people wanting us to go back to Xbox 360 and play Halo 3 and Halo 4 on there, and possibly do achievement nights as well. So we'll mix those in every once in a while. I think that's something that we'll do maybe in the once a month time frame. I don't know if it's going to be replacing game nights or in addition to game nights. So if that's something that you guys are interested too, definitely let us know. You can post on the forums or tweet us or post on Facebook that you're interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah, if there's something you guys want to play, let us know. You can message me directly, either through Xbox Live or Twitter. I get the notifications, on my phone, so I'll probably respond back to you within anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, depending on how buried I am at work. But I got to do the work first because the boss gets upset. Anyway,
you message all of us. We're gonna end up getting it some way or another, so we all get to Godzilla.
Just let us know if any one of us just let us know. Say, hey, I really need to do this achievement. Okay, well, we'll see if we can work out a group of people to, get that achievement done. So, that we can maximize everybody getting the achievement. I still got achievements to get on 360 that I would like to finish up. And, unfortunately, 2 of them are probably the absolute hardest ones to get done on Reach right now because the maps that you need to do them never show up. But, I'll gladly help you guys with achievements. We want to be part of the community as well, not just, the people that the community gathers around. We want to interact with you, and we're trying to find ways to do that to where, it's enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah.
And having problems with a game that's having problems, it stresses a lot of things out too.
Right.
So,
and hopefully this change to Friday night actually makes it better for us and better for others to get on as well. So,
well, yeah, I mean, you get people that have school, work.
Right. We're hoping that change actually is pretty significant. So, I know Friday nights for me are a little more open than Tuesdays and Wednesdays have been, so I'll definitely be trying to show up a little more. And as far as stuff goes on during the weekday, if you happen to see us online, shoot us a message. With that said, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Thanks everyone for coming out. Thanks for dealing with my craptastic voice tonight. Hopefully it won't be as bad next week. And make sure you guys check out our website, our social networks. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and we'll have a new Achieving Halo video up here in a few days, I think. Godzilla, I think, has a couple of things that still need to be changed on the video.
Yes, unfortunately, my video editing program is not being very cooperative, so we're having to attack this in a different way, but it will be coming out shortly. Hopefully, we'll get it out to you the beginning to the middle of next week.
And a good question, PTV. The Friday game nights start next week, not this week. So the first Friday game night will be February 27th.
Just before the end of the month.
Yep. And Haas, how in the world do you get my gamer tag wrong?
I don't know.
Noob.
Did I forget
That's all you got to say. Noob.
Yes, you forgot the pod. That's all right. I have to remind him about mine every once in a while.
I hit spacebar, I swear.
Yeah, sure you did.
Sure. That's what Twitter says.
The first episode is up there for Achieving Halo, so check that out if you haven't already. And then we have some other ideas in the works that hopefully come to fruition, and we'll hopefully have some more content up there for you guys. Make sure you guys check out the podcast network. They're at thepodcast.com, and that is our sister podcast network. It has podcasts like Guardian Radio and Critcast, which are a Destiny and TF2 podcast respectively, so check them out if you're looking for some other gaming podcasts. Next time we're going to be talking about, or we should be talking about, Breakout and then the Breakout maps. So we'll have a whole podcast to talk about that, and depending on how long it takes, we might jump into the other game types as well. So we'll have a special guest on for that. You guys may have heard me drop his name already earlier in the show, so if you know who he is, then you expect some good conversations going on for next week. We encourage you guys to send in your submissions to us, and we'll get around to doing a submission show after we get through all the Halo 5 stuff. And you can do that by sending an email to submissions@podtacular.com, or you can use the big green submit button on our website at podtacular.com, or you can call our listener voicemail at 240-200-HALO. That is 240-200-4256, and leave about a 90-second to 2-minute clip at the max. That way it doesn't take too long to put into the podcast. With that said, with my voice slowly disappearing, thank you guys for tuning into the podcast tonight, and keep on fragging regret bugs.